The family reunion started, and my mom told me not to join the main table to keep peace. She said it like she was asking me to pass the salt, like it was a small, practical thing. No emotion, no apology, just logistics. We were standing near the entrance of the function hall, half hidden behind a fake potted palm and a stack of folded high chairs. The room was already loud with that specific reunion noise. Squeals from cousins who only see each other every few years. Older relatives calling each other nicknames from the 70s. Chairs scraping, someone laughing too hard because they've already had 2 drinks. I could smell warm bread rolls and the sweet, burnt edge of a store-bought cake. Mom kept one hand on my elbow like she was guiding me through traffic. "Not the main table," she murmured again, eyes darting past me toward the long table in the center with the floral runner and the little tent cards. "Just sit over there for a bit. Let people settle. You know how your aunt gets." And then she gave me that look, tight smile, raised eyebrows, the one that means, "Don't ruin this for me." For a second, I genuinely didn't understand what she meant. My brain kept searching for the normal version of the sentence. Like, not the main table. Because it's full? Because there aren't enough chairs? But there were chairs. I could see my name on a little white card, written in Mom's careful handwriting, at the end of the main table. It was right there. She must have put it there earlier, and now she was telling me not to sit in it. My throat went instantly dry, like my body knew before my mind caught up. "Why?" I asked, and my voice came out too sharp, which made Mom's grip tighten. She leaned in closer like she was sharing a secret. "Please," she whispered, voice urgent. "Just for now. We're here to have a nice day. Don't make it a thing." She nodded toward the far end of the hall, where there was a smaller table near the wall, half blocked by the DJ speaker and the children's coloring station. "Sit there. It's fine. It's still a table." Like I was being offered a consolation prize. Like the point was that I should be grateful I wasn't being asked to wait in the car. It was meant to be this big reconciliation moment. That's how Mom sold it. "Everyone's getting older," she'd said over the phone 2 weeks ago, as if the concept of time was new. "Your grandmother wants us all together. It'll be nice. Just one day." She said it with that careful hope in her voice, the tone she uses when she's trying to convince herself. I hadn't been to one of these full, extended family reunions in years. Not since the last one went sideways in a quiet, poisonous way that left everyone smiling in photos and freezing each other out in real life. But Nana had called me personally this time, her voice thin and tired, and said, "I want to see you. Properly. Not just on a screen." So I said yes. I bought a new shirt because I didn't want anyone to be able to say I looked sloppy. I turned up early because if I'm late, it becomes a story. I brought a gift for Nana, a soft scarf she'd pointed out months ago in a shop window. I did everything right because I still have this humiliating instinct to earn my place. And the first thing Mom did when the doors opened and people started arriving was tell me to disappear a little, to keep peace. The peace she meant wasn't some abstract concept. It had a name. It was my Aunt Leanne, who had walked into the hall 5 minutes earlier wearing a bright blouse and a bright smile, scanning the room like she owned it. Leanne is Mom's older sister, the family diplomat when she feels like it, and the family executioner when she doesn't. She's the one who can say something cruel with a laugh and make you feel crazy for reacting. She's also the one who decided, a few years ago, that I was difficult. Not because I did anything dramatic, at least not in my mind, but because I stopped playing along when she tried to rewrite my life as a cautionary tale. The official story in my family is that I can't let things go. The real story is that I started saying out loud, "That hurt," and suddenly everyone decided I was the problem. Mom kept her hand on my elbow like she was steering me away from the main table and toward the side one. "It's just until after the speeches," she said quickly, like she was offering a time limit to make it feel reasonable. "Leanne's been stressed. She's been through a lot. You know how she is. Just don't sit near her." "Not today." Her eyes flicked toward Dad, who was already shaking hands and grinning like nothing in the world could touch him. Dad caught my eye for half a second and then looked away, busy with someone else. That was his move. If he didn't acknowledge it, it wasn't happening. I stared at the little white name card on the main table. My name in black pen, neat and careful. I walked closer and picked it up without thinking, like my hand was acting on instinct. The paper felt thin and stupid between my fingers. Mum's breath hitched. "Put that down," she whispered, not angrily, but with panic. "Please." I looked at her. "Did you write this?" I asked. Mum blinked rapidly, eyes shining like she might cry. "Yes," she said. "I had to organize the seating." "So you put me there," I said slowly, "and now you're telling me not to sit there." Mum's face tightened. "I didn't know Leanne was going to be like this," she said, and the sentence annoyed me because it was such a familiar lie. Mum's specialty. She always acts surprised when the same predictable patterns happen. "Just help me out. Just for today. Help me out. Not, I'm sorry. Not, this is unfair. Just help me keep things smooth." In the background, the hall filled up. People came in carrying platters. Kids ran past with balloons. Someone called Nana's name, and Nana's laugh floated across the room, warm and bright for a moment. I could see her near the head of the main table, sitting carefully, hands folded in her lap, being kissed on both cheeks by relatives who hadn't called her in months. She looked smaller than I remembered. That image, Nana's smallness, made my chest ache. I didn't want to leave. I didn't want to be dramatic. I didn't want to be the reason Mum spent the whole day on edge. So I did what I always do. I swallowed it. I walked to the side table. The side table wasn't even set properly. No runner. No flowers. Just a stack of spare plastic cups and a tray of napkins. It was close enough to hear the main conversation, but far enough to be clearly not part of it. The people already sitting there were kids, and the overflow relatives, distant cousins, and in-laws who didn't know the family lore. One of my younger cousins looked up and smiled politely like we were strangers. "Hi," she said. "Is this where we're sitting?" "Apparently," I said, and my voice sounded weird in my own ears, too flat. Mum hovered for a second like she wanted to pat my shoulder, but she didn't. She just whispered, "Thank you," like I'd done her a favor, then rushed back toward the main table where Leanne was already laughing loudly. I sat down and stared at my hands because I could feel tears trying to push up, and I refused to cry in a hall full of people. My stomach felt hollow, like I'd skipped a meal, even though I hadn't. The DJ speaker beside me hummed faintly. Someone's kid spilled water, and the adults laughed. The main table erupted in a roar of laughter at something Leanne said, and even from this distance, I could tell it had that edge of performance. Leanne making sure she was the center. I watched my family from the wrong table like I was looking at my life through glass. A little while later, Dad wandered over with a beer in his hand, like he'd just realized I wasn't where I should be. He leaned down and said quietly, "What are you doing over here?" I stared at him. "Mum told me not to sit at the main table," I said. Dad's eyebrows rose. Then he sighed like this was a mild inconvenience. "For God's sake," he muttered, and then he did the thing he always does. He made it about my reaction instead of their action. "Don't start, all right? It's Nana's day." "I'm not starting anything," I said, trying to keep my voice low. "I just showed up." Dad glanced toward the main table, toward Mum, who was smiling too hard. "Your mother's trying," he said. "Just don't make her life difficult." There it was. The sentence that always floats around me like a cloud. Don't make her life difficult. As if my existence is a task she has to manage. Why is it my job to keep peace by being shoved to the side? I asked. Dad's jaw tightened. "Because you're the one who reacts," he said, and there was irritation in it. "Leanne likes to stir. You know that. Let it go. Let it go," I repeated quietly. My hands were clenched under the table. "You mean let them do it?" Dad straightened, annoyed now. "Don't do that thing where you twist my words," he said. "Just for once be easy. Be easy. Be convenient. Be silent." He walked away before I could answer, and I sat there with that word stuck in my throat like a bone. The speeches started not long after. Someone tapped a glass. Nana stood with help, smiling, waving off fussing. People clapped. Mum took photos. Leanne made a big show of hugging Nana from behind, dramatic and loud. The microphone squealed once. Everyone laughed. And then Mum stood up and started talking about family and togetherness and healing old wounds. And the whole time she spoke, my chest felt tight because I could hear the lie in it. healing old wounds while actively creating a new one. At one point, Mom said, "We're just so lucky to have everyone here." And I looked down at my side table with its plastic cups and felt stupid. Because I was there, technically. Like an extra chair in the room counts as togetherness. When the speeches ended, Nana started making her way around, slow and careful, greeting people. I watched her like a starving person watches food. I didn't want to go to her from the side table because it felt like proving I belonged. But I also didn't want to sit there like a sulking kid. So when Nana finally looked up and spotted me, her face changed. Her smile softened into something real, and she lifted her hand. "There you are," she called, and her voice carried. Heads turned. A few people followed her gaze. Leanne's face shifted instantly, like a curtain. Mom's smile flickered. Nana walked toward me, and for a second I thought Mom might intercept her, but Nana moved with this surprising stubbornness. She reached my table, took my hand in both of hers, and squeezed it. Her skin felt papery, warm. "I've been looking for you," she said, and her eyes searched my face like she already knew something was off. "I'm here," I managed, and my voice wobbled. Nana frowned slightly. "Why aren't you at the main table?" she asked, not quietly. The question landed like a drop plate. People around us paused, pretending not to listen while absolutely listening. Mom appeared instantly, like she'd been summoned by danger. "Mom," she said, breathless, too cheerful. "She's fine there. It's just there were kids and—" Nana looked at Mom over her glasses. "No," she said simply. There was a seat for her. Mom's cheeks flushed. She laughed nervously. "It's just for today," she said softly, and I hated the way she said it, like she was explaining a minor seating change, not a humiliation. You know how Leanne is. We're just trying to keep peace. Nana's grip tightened on my hand. She looked at me then, really looked, and her mouth tightened in a way I'd never seen before. Nana is not a loud woman. Nana is quiet. But when Nana gets angry, it's like the air shifts. "Peace for who?" Nana asked, and her voice was calm, which somehow made it sharper. Mom's eyes filled quickly. "Mom, please," she whispered. "Not now." Nana didn't look away. "You told her not to sit with us," Nana said, not a question. Mom's silence answered it. Leanne appeared behind Mom, smiling like she'd walked into a scene she could control. "Oh, for heaven's sake," Leanne said brightly. "Are we really doing this? It's Christmas." She stopped, then corrected herself with a laugh. "Whatever it is, it's a reunion. Can we not ruin it with drama?" There it was. Drama. The label they slap on anything that exposes them. Nana didn't even turn toward Leanne. She kept her eyes on Mom. "You moved her to a side table," Nana said. "Because your sister can't behave." Leanne's smile tightened. "Excuse me," she snapped, but she kept her voice sweet. "I didn't ask anyone to move anyone. Don't put that on me." Mom looked like she wanted to disappear into the carpet. "It's not like that," she whispered. I finally spoke because my throat felt like it would tear if I didn't. "Mom told me not to sit at the main table," I said, voice shaking. "To keep peace." Leanne's eyes snapped to me, sharp and cold. But you're making it about you," she said immediately, like it was a reflex. "We're here for Nana. And you always do this. Always turn things into a big, emotional performance." Nana's hand squeezed mine again, steadying. I looked at Leanne and felt something inside me settle. Not anger exactly, just clarity. "I didn't come here to perform," I said quietly. "I came to see Nana." Leanne scoffed. "Then just sit down and stop talking." Mom made a pleading sound. "Please," she whispered to me, eyes wide. "Just please, don't." And that's the moment it clicked, fully, in a way it hadn't before. Mom wasn't asking Leanne to stop. Mom wasn't asking Dad to support. Mom wasn't asking anyone else to behave. Mom was asking me to swallow it, so the room stayed comfortable for everyone else. I stood up slowly. My legs felt shaky, but my voice surprised me by staying steady. "I'm not doing this," I said, not loudly, just clearly. "I'm not sitting at the side table so other people can pretend we're together." Mom's face crumpled. "Why can't you just let it go?" she whispered, and it sounded like a prayer. Nana looked between us, and her eyes filled with tears. "Because she's tired," Nana said softly, and the softness in Nana's voice was more devastating than any shouting. I swallowed hard. I'm tired, I admitted, and my voice cracked on the second word. I'm tired of being the thing everyone manages. Leanne laughed once, nasty. Oh my God, she said. Listen to her. This is exactly why. Nana finally turned toward Leanne, and her gaze was so firm that Leanne's words faltered. Enough, Nana said. Leanne's mouth opened, shocked. Mom. No, Nana said again, and her voice wasn't loud, but it was final. I invited my granddaughter here, not to be shoved aside, not to be punished so you can feel comfortable. Leanne's face flushed red. So now I'm the villain, she snapped, dropping the sweetness. I'm always the villain when she starts one of her little episodes. I flinched at the word episode because it was one of Leanne's favorites, medicalizing my feelings so she can dismiss them. Mom made a small sound like she might protest, then didn't. Dad hovered nearby, looking irritated, but he didn't step in. Nana looked at me. Come, she said, and she nodded toward the main table. Sit with me. The room felt frozen. People were pretending not to watch, but they were watching. My cousin's eyes were wide. Kids had gone quiet again, sensing tension like animals sense storms. Mom grabbed my wrist lightly, not hard, but enough to make it clear she was trying to stop me. Please, she whispered, desperate. If you do this, Leanne will leave. Dad'll be angry. It'll be a whole thing. I looked at her hand on my wrist and felt my chest ache with something that wasn't just anger. It was grief. Why is that my responsibility? I asked softly. Mom's eyes spilled tears. Because you know how they are, she whispered, and it wasn't an answer. It was an admission. She expected me to be the flexible one because I'm the one who still cares. I gently removed her hand. I know how they are, I said. I'm done shaping myself around it. Then I walked with Nana to the main table. It wasn't dramatic. I didn't slam anything. I didn't raise my voice. I just took my seat. The seat with my name on it, and sat beside Nana. Nana squeezed my hand under the table like she was anchoring me. Mom stood frozen for a second, then rushed to the kitchen like she needed an escape route. Leanne stood with her arms crossed, face tight with fury. Dad stared at me like I'd committed some betrayal, not just chosen a chair. For a few minutes, the room stayed tense. People started talking again cautiously, like when a power outage ends and you don't trust the lights. Someone made a joke too loudly. Someone poured wine. A kid started giggling. The reunion attempted to restart. Leanne didn't leave immediately. She stayed, simmering, making pointed comments about sensitive people and therapy culture loud enough for me to hear. I didn't respond. I focused on Nana, on the warmth of her hand, on her breathing beside me. Nana asked me simple questions. How's work? How's my place? Am I eating enough? And the normality of it nearly made me cry again because it felt like being treated like a person instead of a threat. At one point, Dad leaned in and hissed, "You've upset your mother." I looked at him and, for once, didn't rush to apologize. "Mom upset me," I said quietly. "She just did it quietly enough that you could pretend it wasn't real." Dad's face tightened. "Don't be disrespectful," he said. I almost laughed. Disrespectful. Like my existence is respectful only when it's invisible. "I'm not being disrespectful," I said. "I'm just not disappearing." Dad stared at me for a long moment, then straightened and walked away, jaw clenched. Later, Mom finally came back to the table. Her eyes were red. She didn't sit beside me. She sat across from Dad, avoiding my gaze. She made small talk with cousins and laughed at the right times. But every time she glanced at me, her expression carried the same message. Why couldn't you just make this easy? Near the end of the night, when people were packing up leftovers and folding chairs, Mom cornered me in the hallway near the bathrooms. Her voice was quiet, urgent. "You embarrassed me," she said, and her tone was so wounded you'd think I'd insulted her in front of strangers. "You stay here." "You told me to sit at the side table," I said, "at my own family reunion." Mom shook her head rapidly. "I was trying to protect you," she insisted. "From what?" I asked. "From Leanne being cruel?" "Because that still happened. The only difference is you asked me to accept it silently." Mom's mouth trembled. "You don't understand," she whispered. "I have to deal with them. I have to manage them. And I have to manage you, I said, and the words came out before I could soften them. That's what you're asking. For me to manage you. For me to manage Leanne. For me to manage Dad. For me to manage peace. Mom's eyes filled again. I just wanted one day without fighting, she said, and for a second I saw her honestly, tired, afraid, trapped in the role she built for herself. But that honesty didn't erase what she'd done. I wanted one day where I wasn't treated like a bomb, I said quietly. Mom looked away, swallowing. You're making it sound worse than it is, she whispered automatically, reaching for the familiar script. I shook my head slow. It is that bad, I said. It's just been normal for so long you don't see it. We stood there in silence while the muffled noise of family filled the hall. Laughter, goodbye hugs, the scrape of chair legs. Mom wiped her cheeks quickly and whispered, I can't do this conversation tonight, then walked away. I drove home afterward with my hands shaking on the steering wheel, not from fear exactly, but from the adrenaline crash of standing up for myself in a room where I'm usually expected to fold. When I got home, I sat on my couch in the dark for a long time, listening to the quiet. My phone buzzed with a text from Chloe. Nana was upset. Why did you have to make a scene? I stared at it until my eyes blurred, because that's the story they'll tell forever. I made a scene. Not Mom moving me. Not Leanne's cruelty. Not Dad's silence. Me sitting in a chair. Ethan texted too. I'm glad you sat with Nana. Mom's mad, but you were right. And that text, small as it was, made me cry in a different way. Not relief exactly. More like recognition. Someone saw it. So yeah, that's what happened. The reunion started, and Mom tried to tuck me away to keep peace. And I finally realized the peace they protect isn't peace at all. It's comfort for the loudest people. It's silence purchased with one person's dignity. I don't know what happens next. I know Mom will act like I ruined something. I know Leanne will retell the story as me having an episode. I know Dad will keep saying I should have been easy. But I also know Nana held my hand under that table like she was telling me, without words, that I belong. And I think I'm done attending events where my presence is treated like a threat that needs managing. If they want peace, they can learn to behave. I'm not shrinking anymore to make other people comfortable.